The thing beneath the lake. The lake was not on any modern map. It sat in the fold of a forgotten valley, shielded by dense pines and veiled in perpetual mist. The locals called it Ashmere, a name passed down in hushed tones, often followed by warnings to stay away. But teenagers in neighboring towns, hungry for thrills and rebellion, were drawn to it like moths to a flame. They said no fish lived in its waters, that birds avoided its shores, that sometimes, if you stood still enough, you'd hear knocking from beneath the surface. Darren hadn't planned to go there, but when his cousin Michael came back from college for the summer and suggested a camping trip, the lake was where they ended up. "It's perfect," Michael said, grinning as they loaded gear into his Jeep. "No one around for miles. We'll have the whole place to ourselves." That should have been a warning. Along for the ride were two others, Kendra, Michael's girlfriend, and Sasha, a quiet girl Darren barely knew but secretly liked. She'd said yes to the trip with a shrug and a tired smile, but her eyes had been distant. They arrived late afternoon. The air was heavy, the silence unnatural. Even the wind seemed to avoid the lake. Ashmere stretched like a bruise through the valley, still and black, its edges lost in fog. No ripples, no movement, just silence, as if the world around it was holding its breath. They set up camp by the shore, a small fire, a few drinks, and by nightfall the mood had lightened. They laughed, roasted marshmallows, told the usual ghost stories, until Kendra said, "Have you guys heard the one about the lake that eats people?" Michael rolled his eyes. "Go on." "Seriously," she said, voice low. "There's a story around here. A girl disappeared. Some hiker back in the 70s. They found her tent, even her backpack, but not her, just handprints on the inside walls, like she was trying to claw her way out. But no footprints, like something dragged her down from below." Sasha shivered and wrapped her arms around herself. Darren smiled nervously. "You made that up." Kendra shook her head. "Look it up. Ashmere's got a history. People disappear. They say the lake keeps them." They herned in one by one, Darren last. He looked out across the water. It reflected nothing. Not the stars, not the moon, just a matte, empty black. That night, he dreamed of water. He was sinking, deeper and deeper, lungs burning, heart pounding. A shape loomed beneath him, enormous, eyeless, awake. He jolted upright in his tent, gasping. The lake was silent, but something had moved outside. He listened. Footsteps? A splash? Nothing. Just wind in the trees. If it was wind. The next morning, Michael was gone. His tent was there, unzipped. Shoes, clothes, phone, everything untouched, but no Michael. They searched for hours, circled the lake, called out, even climbed the ridge for better reception. No response. Kendra was pale, shaking. He wouldn't just leave. Sasha nodded. He joked around a lot, but not like this. Something's wrong. Darren went to the lake's edge. The fog was denser today, clinging to the surface like a skin. That's when he saw it. A handprint on the wall of Michael's tent. He didn't tell the others. That night, no one slept. By the second day, Kendra wasn't speaking. She sat by the water, eyes vacant. Wouldn't eat, wouldn't move. Sasha tried to comfort her, but Kendra wouldn't even blink. I think the lake did something to her, Sasha whispered. It's like it's inside her now, like it's waiting. Darren didn't argue. He'd seen something that morning. At first he thought it was fog, but it moved with purpose, rippling through the trees, wrapping around the tents, circling. And last night he'd heard it again, knocking from beneath the ground, from under the lake, as if something was trying to get out or call him in. That evening, Kendra stood up, walked straight into the lake and vanished beneath the surface. No splash, no scream, just gone. Darren and Sasha screamed her name, ran into the water, diving, searching. But there was nothing. No body, no air bubbles, just the icy clutch of the lake and a darkness that felt alive. They stumbled out, soaked and shaking. Sasha clutched Darren's arm. We need to go, now. They packed in silence, neither looking at the lake again. The jeep started. Darren nearly cried with relief. But the road was gone. Fog had rolled in so thick it erased everything. Trees vanished. The trail disappeared. They drove blindly, the headlights useless. Then, just ahead, something in the road. A figure. Darren slammed the brakes. It was Michael, or what had once been him. He stood, soaked and expressionless, eyes black and unblinking. His skin was mottled with bruises. Water poured from his mouth. Sasha screamed. Michael didn't move. Then he raised one hand, knocked twice against the jeep's hood. Tap, tap, and was gone. The fog swallowed him whole. They spent the night back at camp, too disoriented to leave. Sasha cried. Darren kept watch, holding the only weapon they had, a fire poker. The knocking came again. Not just outside, from under the ground, beneath the tent. Then the dreams started. Darren dreamed of drowning again, but this time he was held there, fingers around his ankles, faces pressed to the lake bed, eyes wide and pleading. One mouth moved, forming a name, his. He woke gasping. Sasha was gone. Only her boots remained. Darren didn't scream. He couldn't. His mind had stopped processing fear. Only silence remained. A crushing, numbing silence. He didn't search. He just walked. Away from the lake, into the trees, following any path he could find. But the woods shifted. Trees grew where they hadn't before. Fog came and went. He passed the same dead log twice. The lake wouldn't let him go. That night, he built a fire alone. No tent, no food, just heat and light. Something moved at the edge of the trees. Sasha. But not. She was pale, eyes black like the others, hair wet, fingers blue. She stepped into the firelight. "You left me," she said, but her mouth didn't move. "You all left." He backed away. "You came to feed it. You just didn't know." The lake moved behind her. Not water. Something else. A shape rising. It was not human, not beast. Just mass. Limbs, maybe. Eyes, hundreds of them. Watching. It breathed fog. "You've always heard it," Sasha said. Or the thing wearing her face did. "Even in dreams. It called you long before you came." Then it reached for him. Darren ran. Branches clawed his face. Roots tripped him. But he didn't stop. Somewhere, a bell was ringing. Faint, hollow. He followed it. A chapel stood on a ridge, crumbling stone, ivy-covered, the door ajar. He threw himself inside. The silence broke. The air cleared. The lake's grip loosened. He collapsed on the altar. He woke to light, real golden morning light, birds singing. He was alone. He stumbled down the ridge. The lake was gone. Or rather, it was still there, but it was just a lake. Still, clear, empty, no fog, no shapes, no whispers. He made it back to town that afternoon, delirious and half-wild. The police found nothing, no jeep, no tents, no Kendra, no Michael, no Sasha, just Darren, raving about knocking and eyes in the water. They let him go after a few days, but he never really left the lake, not inside. 10 years later, Darren works at a hardware store in a town 100 miles away. He never goes near water. But sometimes, in the deepest part of night, he hears it. Knock, knock. He doesn't answer. But he knows. Someday it'll stop knocking. And just open the door.